Probably a gray fox.
Yeah, she's a gray fox. She is rather tall, and actually has a very long coif, like very long hair, also gray as well, almost silvery. She looks older, like she is a great kit in every sense of the word. Like she is the so the matron, one of the matrons of the family. That's how important she is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking to him, she's sitting in the lap and has this very wide dress, and there's two younger kids sitting on her lap, and it's like, grandma, please tell us a story. It's like, yes, and she's sort of counting a story in deep in the local language, and other kids are watching and stuff like that. So she's basically much playing the role of the great mother, great grandmother, right? Sort of the matriarch of the family. So this
mm-hmm.
aspect of the Rinaldi family, which is much bigger, right? And so she's talking and whatnot, and servants they bring drinks for you, etc. They offer it at Harmon. Is Spencer there, or is Spencer still at the Don Wasser Academy?
Would you guys want him to come along?
You definitely don't have to. This is definitely a long string of parties, and I'm sure Spencer has more interesting things to think about.
Yeah, let's say he's staying at Dunwasser doing some more research with the people he's paid to help out with this, since you're also interested.
Also, on a mechanical level, Spencer, if you're looking to learn new skills and abilities, this also will be the great place to do it. So, not only doing this general research, you're probably also doing personal research on stuff to improve your abilities as well. So let's say that you're doing both for future reference. So you're honest, like, oh, how you got that skill? Well, because he was studying at the Dunwasser Academy, of course.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to use this time as an excuse to learn mystic druidism to have more knowledge of the ley lines?
The problem with that is that's a particular school of study that the Dunwassers. That's why you're funding this study, because they don't have a lot of information on it, right?
Right. Okay.
So if you're doing about being cognoscenti or other more traditional schools, they have plenty of that outside of necromancy, of course.
Yeah, I may pick up the mystic for thaumaturgy at some point. Then
yeah,
we can use this as the excuse for that.
Mm-hmm. So there's that, and she's there, and the thing is that it's also like a semicircle. Like most of the people around Lady Rishi are female, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the mothers, aunts, sisters, daughters, etc. And then you have the kids, right?
Yeah.
So you're invited and you're welcome, and nobody gives you any lip or face. But the moment you're there, you're penetrating that family moment that you're there. It's gonna take some navigating, not simply physically, but socially.
Right. And right now, of course, she's also entertaining, so
Mm-hmm.
so I have to either wait for that point or work with it to some degree.
Probably work with it, because she's
Mm-hmm.
You got a great role, and this is why you were able to just walk in here into a family affair and just be, and nobody gives you a second look. Some people may ask questions like, "Oh, I'm a guest of Lady Rishi." It's like, oh, but of course, yes, she's you saw him with kids. Like, nobody seems to bother with you, even when you have Harmon around, which is heavily armored and
I just look like I belong here so much.
Yeah, nobody cares, right? Or if they do care, they're not letting it show.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, maybe try to get her attention in some way. So what's going to be your strategy here? Are you going to wait, which could take a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to be impolite, you have to wait. Or are you trying to get her attention in some way that will, have her, force her to deal with you or acknowledge your presence?
Waiting is definitely the simpler solution, but how could I go about this? That's the real question. Um, hmm. Dang, I'm just short on ideas right now, actually. That's the hard part. I could, like, distract the kids and take some of the, weight of that off of her, and then she'll eventually have time for it, but, also she's directing their attention anyway, so interrupting is rude. I do have etiquette for anything I do, so at least I can try to avoid doing terribly. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of blazed through 2 other conversations a day and gotten up to here. I could probably wait a little bit. I mean, this Rickard has been here for like months at this point and hadn't even really gotten to, and only really gotten to getting their names. I've been at this for less than 24 hours and I'm standing right here in their garden. I think I can afford a couple of hours to wait. I'll be patient, I'll be polite, I'll be the presence of etiquette.
You're waiting, and after a while, what looks like perhaps one of Rishi's daughters, you see the family symbol, sort of taps her on the shoulder, and they say something, and Rishi sort of reaches and gets one of the kids and sort of gives it to her, and it's a small child, a kid, so kind of carries him, like, okay, and it's like, oh yeah, it's time to put the tail on the slug, and the kids are like, oh, slug time, and then they go, right, because you're not gonna put in a donkey, because
Yeah.
unless you actually want to go out of the way to insult Harmon. Yeah, and
Hit the tail on the lizard.
yeah, and so they go away, and she gets up, and her daughters and sisters and all are there, and so she has this retinue, and it's like, my lord, glad to you have joined us.
My lady, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I don't think we've been introduced yet, but my name is Gregory Varkin III. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Anila is my name. Everybody calls me, of course, Lady Rishi, or just Rishi. But you can call me Anila. Would you care to walk the gardens with me?
I'd be delighted, Anina.
Yeah. Okay. And you start walking, and the other lady sort of, they go till with the children and all what they have to do. And
yeah, they filter out.
Yeah. And so, and you see that the garden here is, has shades of what later would become like the French garden, sort of, very organized, like mazes and stuff like that. And topiary is very well taken care of, right? But it's not quite like that organized. Then maybe the vase here or something there. And
it's a pretty garden.
And she having a complex conversation. She asks you about the aisles. She's asking about what you're doing here. But it's all very superficial stuff. You're just a guest, and she's just entertaining a guest, right? But you're sort of getting farther away, although there are guards that are visible nearby, right? She is not devoid of security. It's just that security is a little more.
Right, we're just outside of knowing ears and such.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
Yeah, and it's quite a wise, because of course we're talking about foxes here, and essentially, eventually she asks, "So what? Besides enjoying this time with this lovely family, what else brings you here, my lord?"
Oh, well, I wouldn't want to beat around the bush too much with you, but there's things that in my heart that I've become concerned with. I've already told you that where I come from, I have a place of authority, of investigation, you see, and for quite some time there have been pirates and mercenaries who have hounded our isles, and truly it has driven us to no end of grief. And in our investigations, I've discovered something, and I thought maybe a woman of your stature and knowledge might understand more of the problems that we face. For you see, I believe many of them may have come from this very continent. And in fact, from what I had heard, that there's quite a market for mercenaries here. I believe perhaps they had been hired out, or maybe they simply hadn't made enough of their fortune here and went elsewhere, but...
Oh, well, we always, there's stories of adventurers and mercenaries dealing with the kind of things that's usually other nobles who do not have as trustworthy as guards and servants have to deal with. But we of the Rinaldi, we do not bother with such things as much as possible. They are men who follow silver are untrustworthy in other ways. Today they ask for silver, tomorrow they'll ask for gold. And after that, they'll ask for your head, so to speak. It's an ugly reality, of course.
It's true, and I agree.
But I seem to fail how I can this any of our family's concerns. We are not hiring mercenaries, as I said. I can assure you that. I give you my word. And we have no interest in causing strife in nearby lands.
Of course, and I would never suppose you would. But I understand that the guilds here seem to have their hands deep into such mercenaries. It's truly terrible business, can you imagine? Such is what I've heard since I've been here, and such terribleness.
Oh, it is the guilds, such as there are laborers, day workers, people who should know their place, always climbing above their station. They think they can buy themselves any position in the world. Such acts have no honor or distinction.
Indeed. And a sellsword normally isn't anything to worry about or really a threat. But a soldier is. And I suppose that's part of my own concern, for I had heard from those who I had spoken to here and there throughout the city that if this war rages on too long, how proficient, how much veterancy might these mercenaries gain in a protracted, drawn-out conflict against a crown, of all things? What could they do with that knowledge to fight the nobility itself? It would be... I don't even want to think about that. But I've heard the concerns, and they are my concerns too, of course.
Who exactly do they fight for, these individuals? Describe this person for me.
She's asking specifically, like, who in the Isles, like, is buying mercenaries. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the usurper, right? The type of character.
Yeah, the usurper. Let's see. I gotta keep looking to make sure I get the names right. It's Edwin. There we go. It is the usurper, the young King Edward, who had, in his own anger of youth, parted against his brother and gone to war. He's done things truly terrible, sneak attacks upon our forces, and subjugated others. And of course, with the use of these mercenaries, there's no end to the pain that he causes people.
Okay, I want you to roll a will, nobility, and presence for this. So you can see how much you can, impress upon her this particular description. It's important that you roll well for this one.
In this case, I would almost say my legal authority also matters in this case, because I'm saying I am a legitimate trusted source who has investigated this directly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to add that in. And there's 3d12s in this roll. It can't possibly go bad. Oh, look at that. Well, that's still 2 successes. And what do I have for presence right now? I don't have anything for presence. So I could go ahead and pick a specialty right now. It could be nobility. It could be empathy, trust. What makes sense here, do you think?
Well, her is nobility.
Let's go with nobility then. I'm good at impressing upon the nobility. They're my people. So let's re-roll that d12. At least I'm pretty sure. Is that the d12? That is a d8, actually. Good to get that clarified. Only comes back as a 2. 2 seems
got-
pretty good.
Two is it's you're getting there.
I
She
could
sort of
always
thinks
roll
like
personality.
so we're talking about a rather capricious child willing to betray his own family. Interesting. And you're saying that he's getting support from people here in the city and in the continent. Is that correct?
I can only imagine where all the money is coming from, but yes.
This is worrisome, they say. But I am a very busy person. Perhaps I can ask around and see what I can find about this. But yes, I will share this much with you. I will say that this is worrisome, concerned even. Perhaps if you were to find more information about this, then perhaps it will be time to intervene. We can't have the wrong people be in charge of any one place. That goes against the natural order of things.
Of
You
course.
understand, right?
Everyone has their own station, and we are those who shepherd those around us.
Indeed. Now, I'm afraid I have to go back to my grandchildren and their nieces and nephews, and it's a big family.
Of course, and I would not wish to keep you a moment longer.
But
Please,
you
I hope
do
you
know
enjoy.
that you're always welcome here. Perhaps a refreshment in the future. Maybe I can introduce you to one of my daughters. I'm always looking for a nice gentleman to share some time with.
I'm truly flattered.
Good conversation, good companionship. It's so hard to find these days. But alas, I must be going. So do take care of yourself. If you wish to partake more of the drinks and other treats, by all means, we have them.
Of course, my lady.
Don't feel like you just have to run off. Of course, I would never imply that. But I have to leave you. Well, perhaps we can talk sometime later.
Of course. I shall see you again, I hope.
And she leaves, right?
Okay.
And again, the moment she's separated from you from say 10, 15.
Her entourage zooms back in.
Yeah, exactly. They just come in, and she's having this very interesting conversation, but it seems lighthearted. It doesn't seem like she's angry and like that. In fact, she never gave you any sense that she was angry or upset. Maybe upset. Concern was the best you got from her. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The picture that you got painted of her was that she's very serious and very this, but she didn't, at least so far, she hasn't gotten very angry at anything. Yeah, you got a note of concern.
Perfect. That's exactly what I need to return with, which I can stay. I can take a little bit of cake, a little bit of drink, and after, a polite moment, I'll go ahead and start leaving, and I'll definitely return to Karen with this sort of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he'll love to know the details.
Yeah. To make
particularly the words like "we must act," we may have to act soon.
Yeah. He says, he has a couple of names. But he says, and he gives you the names, and he says the problem is, they're technically acting on legally speaking. They're above board as far as the law here is concerned. Hiring guards, hiring cell sorts is not illegal. It's a big business, of course. And the only way that it works, of course, is that it may be used to attack the crown or attack a family. That's just what's not tolerated. But it's not illegal. So, but he gives you a series of names.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is Wilcock, which is clearly a name from the Isles as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he says, he's been around here about 5 to 6 years, Monsieur. But I suspect that he always has strong connections to the Isles. One of the many people that come from around the world to trade here in Triskelion. He might be the good place to start. But I understand that he He is a guild member in good standing, has ingrained himself in the local guilds, and very wily, monsieur. So getting any good information out of him would be difficult.
Understandable.
But if you can, and if I were to suggest that you would pass this information to Lady Rishi, then that could be very profitable.
Okay, guild member from the Isles here 5 years. There we go. Is that the only name of import to note
He
here?
gives you other names, but that's the one he sort of like. This is the most, the one that seems to fit all the criteria the best.
Mm-hmm.
Other people will be just like, oh, hey, you want to hire some guards for a caravan or something? This is what you go to, right? And instead of relying on the guards and whatnot, which he sees as his that's what he's just supposed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you can see some of these names are just people he just dislikes in general.
Take them down with him. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So Wilcox seems to be the one that he's has an eye on. That seems to fit most of the requirements, not all the requirements. Somebody who could be hiring guards, has a good standing, and also has strong connections to the Isles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's a good point to begin investigating, and if anything comes of course, I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm. Very well, monsieur. Say that if you do mind sharing what you find out with me as well, I appreciate it. And you always find yourself that if you're on the road anywhere else into the continent, and you need a place to stay, my home is your home.
I'm honored, truly.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I guess you did the part.
Well, that's been basically a long day of talking to everybody here.
Yeah.
So I guess zoom back to Spencer. How's it been going?
Yeah, I guess Spencer is your nose is deep into the events and studies that you need to get your next next advancement and your magic, correct?
Well, I was thinking while you were doing the other scene with Gregory that instead of Mystic Cognoscenti or Thaumaturgy right away, I actually have Mystic Cognoscenti, but instead of Mystic Thaumaturgy right away, this sounds more like something that would earn me research, which I think might be a prerequisite to some spells, but it's still something that's very useful to have, even if it isn't. So yeah, he's still working with the other wizards at Dunwasser. Probably making, probably impressing at least some people, given that, most people there are typicals and he's got a couple D8s going for him. Mm-hmm. So he's a smart guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so a little over take over the guilds of Triskelion. And just reading from the book, so for the audience, mostly Triskelion is unique in Calabria in that the guilds are independent of the noble houses. In other lands, guilds are under the control of the nobility, which use them for their own profit advancement. The guilds in Triskelion can thank the Rinaldi for their freedom. But apparently not everybody in the house of Rinaldi actually agree with that. So there's that. So people say, wait a minute, didn't the Rinaldi give the freedom to the Yeah, I know. Just so everybody knows. Now that we don't have Rafferty to fill in the Lord part of this, I feel that I have to do that myself, just to keep everybody appraised. So yeah, you're doing that. Oh, yeah, I mean, Griffin. The question is, how are you going to approach to get Wilcox? I mean, he's a merchant, so you can talk to him about business, but and you are somebody from the Isles, but you do have somebody who can help you out with getting deeper into his.
Exactly. Which is probably why I need to talk with Spencer a little bit and see what he thinks about investigating this.
Yeah.
And of course, if we really needed to, like Harmon just run there, kill him. Run out real fast. Or everyone catches you.
ahead.
So, Spencer,
Yes,
how has your research been going?
it's been going well enough. I've been learning a few things, but it's going slowly.
I see. Well, maybe you'll find the right book.
There's bound to be something here at some point. If not, we might need to have an expedition into the Phaelani lands so we can learn at least more of their flavor of druidism. We may not be able to know much about what goes on Kaer Corwin or Tallwyn, but there may be some similarities, such like the cognoscenti arts practice in the Isles are the same as those practiced here or in Acoma.
Right, and I believe they're to the north. And if Ricker comes through, I would bet that it'll be a lead to the north as well. So we might very well get our chance. And if not, well, we're right here. We may as well take a little journey at some point. See the sights. Get some of that nature in, some of that druidism. Well, one way or another, you haven't found your right book, but I believe I found my right man.
Oh, this is good news.
He's a guildsman by the name of Wilcock, a merchant. And, well, he definitely fits the profile. He could very well be the one funding many of the mercenaries that are going to the Isles. And, of course, probably have aspirations beside that, but let's focus on what's happening here today. I am not quite certain how I want to approach him. I think I want to learn more about him first, and then, of course, if I do speak with him, I'd like you at my side. I'm wondering, can you handle this for me?
You want me to dig up some dirt on Wilcock, then?
Right. Even just his basic business might be enough, but if you find anything deeper, of course, I'd love to know.
Of course.
So, I'll leave you to that. I'm going to stay in my room and take a cat nap for tonight. And, well, best of luck.
The character just put that in notes that I'm going to be researching Wilcock. I guess now's as good a time as any to narrow down what social circles and areas he most frequents, and then start going to those places and trying to figure more out about him.
Yeah. I'm gonna run a gossip. You have gossip?
I do.
So will gossip, and what else can you be doing? I guess I think a little academics will go a long way with this one. Yeah. It's Wilcox, not Willful Member.
Take my best guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if his member has a will of its own, but yeah, it's Wilcox.
Well, would any of the information that Gregory could give me act as a assist on this?
Mm-hmm. He puts you in the right path.
I still have my luck. You didn't steal it all back, Griff.
Nice. Yeah, those were the 3 successes. What do you find about Wilcox? You find Wilcox arrived about 6 years ago from the Isles. He made his business actually selling lumber, but not lumber is not in rare supply here in Calabria, let alone Triskelion. But 2 types of lumber. Some good lumber for making ships, right? Ship making lumber, which is always a little more rare, and scented wood. Scented wood that is used for example, little things where you put like incense or candles. So, for example, Uh, the church uses that a lot, and not in the main cathedrals. They use like big candles and stuff like that, but in smaller churches, smaller areas. It's also used for certain types of furniture to get that sense of that scent into a room, particular room, right? That's very rare wood and very expensive. And it's rare enough that you don't have to carry a large amount of it that you can make a profit. So you can put it in a ship and go. And from there, he's made a lot of investments. Again, doing a lot with a lot of shipping, a lot of transoceanic trade routes. He also has made investment on getting porcelain, and particularly he's making now entrance on selling jade. Jade is another thing that's becoming very popular, both in Calabria and also inclusively in the Isles as well. So it's sort of rare, precious stone, right, that can be used for different things. And figure not only it's just jade by itself, but also the dragon that you bought, the lizard creature that you got, etc. So yeah, that seems to be a very popular, increasingly popular thing. So he's expanding. Oh boy. And yeah, that seems to be a thing. And so he's made quite a bit of coin, right? And so much so that often when he's called Wilcox of the Golden Touch. Apparently, he deals with large enough cargoes that he doesn't even pay in silver for many things. He actually pays in gold, because he has to deal with something very expensive and so somebody who has deep pockets, who has managed to accrue deep pockets, because most people don't use gold in the day to day, even you. So yeah, he doesn't have a lot of gold, perhaps, and overall, but enough that it's something that it seems everything that he touches, every business venture that he's getting to has been successful so far. Very lucky person, perhaps. And you also hear that he's vying to get into the silk trade, but that hasn't worked yet. That he's gonna have fingers or claws in every pie, I suppose, as it were.
Interesting. He's got his fingers in a lot of pies, like you said. So we'll definitely get back to Gregory on those points of how he sells shipbuilding lumber, scented woods, porcelain, jade, and is trying to get into the silk trade, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we could figure out if we want to pursue that where that Jade Dragon is concerned, if you want to look into that at all.
Oh, I suppose you just clear he's a trader and he's collected it at some point, or shipped it, I suppose, because it was in that curio shop. That does bring up an interesting point. But, so how should we tackle this? What's your suggestion for how I should deal with him, or if we want to learn more?
I'd say let's hit him where he has a desire. I have quite a sum of money. I'm sure you do as well. We could perhaps conspire to give him some capital and reason to start this silk trade he wants to start so much by perhaps ordering a bolt or two and having fine outfits to be made from it eventually. But
well, it's not a silk trade that's the problem, it's the mercenaries. And as Lady Rishi said, it's not illegal for him to keep hiring them. And the thing that we need to find out is where we can hit him specifically to make it less of a problem.
Well, then we've got to hit him in his pocketbooks. make sure he can't hire any more mercenaries or afford to continue to pay the others that he's already hired.
He sounds far too successful to just take it all away from him. And if he's a good enough businessman, he definitely has plenty away for such troubles.
The taller the ladder, the more wobbly it is.
And I suppose I'd like to avoid piracy in return, but, well, what do you propose we do exactly for that? How do we make one of the wealthiest merchants, so much so he's called the Golden Touch, lose enough money he stops hiring mercenaries? Stops paying them?
Let's say we research his business partners, try to figure out any wrongdoings he may have done and bring them to light.
And
if
I guess
he's successful, he's bound to have his fingers in some rather shitty pies.
That's a possibility.
You don't get so rich so fast and have a silver or golden touch, such as our admiral does, without some dirt in your past.
And I guess lessons help my interpretation of like what we need to do. What if these other parties actually suggested they might do? What do I need to do to get them into action here with Wilcox?
Couple of things. If you can tie him directly to the mercenaries going to the Isles, right? Especially spending a lot of coin, then that may give Lady Rishi a point to put pressure on him, right? To sort of cease and desist, right? If you can find anything illegal, both of them could act on it, right? Especially Lady Rishi, get the some doing illegal trade or something like this, right? Again, or something that would discredit him. Especially if you give that information to one of these two individuals, particularly Lady Rishi, something that is not illegal but can discredit him in some way or another, she could use him to blackmail him or whatever, right? To put him, because remember, her goal is she is a powerful person in the Rinaldi, but remember that the guild's only independent to the Rinaldi, and she's one of those who thinks that was a big mistake and wants to get them back under their control, or even stamp them out and take all their money and have them be, the merchant princes of Triskelion. That will be ultimate, right? Eliminate the idea of common people being able to control their own fortunes or climbing up above their station due to their sheer amount of money, right? That is something that should be firmly in the hands of the nobility because they are the nobility, power and wealth. So if you can give her the tools to take him out or at least put pressure on him, then they can do something about it, right? Simply going to him and saying, "Oh, we don't want you to, hire mercenaries." Like, well, I'm not doing anything illegal, right? And I'm hiring him for a foreign land, so again, not illegal. And what is it to you, right? And if you press him too hard, then he's just going to call the guards on it and say, trying to kill me or something, right?
Right. So if we confront him, we can't be too harsh about it. We have to find these pieces of information and gotta figure out how to solve it.
I mean, remember he's a member of a guild as well, so that cuts both ways. Just the whole business partner thing. That's a good in if you can find people who are willing to talk bad about him or what have you.
Right, yeah. That could definitely be a source. Well, I guess once we get into some nightlife, maybe Spencer and I could go out together and we'll do some drinking and we'll try to find people belonging to that guild and see just what they happen to spill.
Okay, yeah.
So that sounds like a fun time. Spencer, how's your gossiping?
Good enough for a typical.
Okay. Well, I have if it's mind gossip, then it would end up being 2d6 for me, so probably the same for you, right?
D68 total.
Okay, cool. So I could assist you and I could give you the d12. Because I'm better with the higher class, not so much with the lower class. So, I guess that's going to be our strategy. We're going to go drinking, we're going to just gossip up, and we're going to see what else we can find that people will actually spill about him. Whereas Spencer before just kind of learned about what his organization was.
Yeah. The guildholds, literally, the guildholds all serve as sort of reunion places of business, but also places where people gather and party as well. So, but nearby there's always taverns and inns and the like, so you can sort of go around and ask for things.
Do the circuit.
Yeah, do the circuit. So, roll your gossip.
All right. So, Spencer, this is going to be to assist you. Congratulations, you get a D12. I'm a team player. Harmon, do you want to contribute your gossip? You're such a talker.
Nope.
He just stands there and glares.
Yeah.
Talk.
Ooh, that's real good.
Oh yeah. You start asking about him and different people, and you eventually late night, early in the morning, you find yourself in front of someone who is bleary-eyed and drinking, and he goes by the last name of Arpin, 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 and he is a boar.
Mm-hmm.
And he's drinking, and you're there basically in front of him, basically drinking like, so what do you want? If you're paying, I'm drinking. If I'm not paying, I'm not drinking. It's just the way it is.
Oh, I'll gladly keep the drinks flowing if you just keep talking. So, you work for this guild, right?
Barely. I used to be very well represented by the guild. Monsieur, I used to be one of the up-and-comers. But then this Wilcock showed up. Damn his mother. Damn. Things started going sour for me. I could not pin anything on him. But he was always there. Always. Whenever I made a deal with someone, next day I found out that they made the deal with the Wilcox. Next time I was going to talk to someone or do a contract, they tore it open and tore it apart and said, no, we're going to make business with Wilcox. Every time I had a brilliant idea, there was Wilcox. Now, a man can get lucky sometimes, even a foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
But a cheater always makes his own luck, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
course.
Never suspicion. Because you see,
Do tell.
I heard that when he came in to the city, he was looking for accommodations and such. He accommodated with some young killed family who had a beautiful daughter. But now the daughter is not there anymore. And everything went quiet. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's one of those things when you talk about it, nobody talks about it. It's like everyone goes, I don't know what you're talking about, right?
Terrible. Foul play?
Oh, I think I heard that Wilcox likes to visit the brothels and the baths and all that. He has a very keen eye for the ladies, if you know what I mean. And a man with money, like ambition, who's always looking to get his way. Perhaps this young lady didn't, or who knows? Maybe she was a true lady, or maybe something else happened. I cannot say. And he looks around and says, and I truly do not dare how to say, because a man that can cheat at life also cheat at death. Not to take that chance. No chance.
Chance. More drink.
Yes. So if you're looking for something, look into these contracts. Tell people that all of a sudden make great business contacts with him. They may have something on him or something other. None of them are willing to talk. And I've been brought this to the guild, but the guild says, "Oh, don't worry about it, Arpan. You're just jealous. You take your coin and you do your business." And he did not drive me completely out of business. I had it. I was there. I was going to rise, and then it got snatched out of my fingers. Horrible. Lost my wife. Lost my child. They left me. Spent so much time walking, trying to get it. Stole it from me. But I cannot prove it. But I swear by the light that one day I will run by the throat.
I know fate will smile upon you once more. Certainly. Wilcox can't last forever. Your time will come.
If I'm lucky, he'll be dead by the end of the night. And I haven't seen my luck so far. Golden touch.
Out of character, I wonder how much you'd be willing to pay for that.
How much gold you got left? This is...
So, yes. That's what I know about Wilcox. That wily cock.
And I guess we'll get down those names and, of course, get down the family, too. So we'll have that to search for, and, yeah, by then it'll probably start being morning.
Oh.
Interesting person. What else could we ask him, do you think?
I mean, he is a guild member.
Mm-hmm.
You have him right there, and he's pretty drunk, so...
Yeah, so he's done a bunch of trades. I'll ask him. So the way he deals is definitely under the table, but the deals he does, the actual goods being exchanged, the things he does, those seem above board, right? He's not doing anything else, is he? Do you think?
If I knew, I would have wrung out of him a long time ago. But I do not know. I suspect, I'm sure. I seen an influx of servants as of late coming from the Isles, especially younger people. You know where they're coming from. They're not too many as to people sort of feel like there's an invasion, right? A wave of refugees or something like that. But you kind of notice every time you go to a house here and there, the new maid, the stable boy, right? If you know where to live, if you listen to the accents, you know they're foreigners. They're coming from the Isles, I'm sure of it, because when they talk among each other, they use this strange, gibberish, barbarian tongue.
I see.
Yeah. Which I do not understand.
Perhaps
this is a secret. Our fan makes me think this is a secret. He speaks in this gibberish tongue nobody understands. And he ensorcels people like that. And then people get so scared because they're like, blah, 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 blah. It's like,
Say it isn't so.
How can it be? How can such a daring man come do this? Invade our... I have another business here.
Yeah. Yeah, here, have another one. I'll take another 2.
So maybe that's the thing. But again, servants, people get paid. It's not like he's trading in. And he said he's gonna say flesh, but it's like instead of like thinking about it. But that kind of thinking of drunk people, they just sort of space out. Like there's an idea somewhere, Nah, he wouldn't be that stupid. They have him hanged by the morning. They found. Hey, I would hang him personally if I found out he was doing that. I would pull the cord myself, even if that's not how you do it.
It is the only way to treat such an evil. You're a good man, Arpan.
Bastard. Well, thank you, sir, monsieur, for all the drinks. I appreciate them.
And thanks for
Whenever
all the
you
talk.
need a drinking person here to join you in the drinking thing, I shall be here, drinking with you.
And drinking me under the table, too, it seems.
Well, we can kick the table aside. That way you don't have to embarrass yourself.
Wonderful. It's a party.
Huzzah.
Huzzah, and another toast. All right.
By the time you
So-
finish, this guy is like face down on the table, like snoring. I mean,
Yeah,
he's out.
he's a boar. He's a day creature. It's the middle of the night. He shouldn't have been up drinking.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is when I'm active. It's fine. So morning comes around, and so Spencer, well, we've learned a number of possible leads.
Yes.
There
Shall
are-
we go visit him and I can see which ones are worth pursuing?
I feel that we want to find which of these might be true ourselves first. The disappearance of the young woman, though, definitely strikes me as the one that we would get the most out of if we confronted him. But of course,
Right.
asking about that to his face would probably get us a boot.
I wouldn't need to ask him to his face. I need to just probe his mind.
Very true, very true. And I'd have to rely entirely upon you for that. The other ones seem reasonably promising. There's definitely plenty of people around town to confront. We can see how their deals went, and maybe see if they were intimidated into doing such. And of
Yeah.
course, with all the servants from the Isles, that's very interesting. I hadn't heard about that. I guess with the current state of affairs, people leaving isn't strange, but of course, is he trading in flesh? We could speak to a few of them. I think they would give us a fair picture of what's happening if we gain their confidence.
Yes, I could help you with that, of course.
So let's begin with the simplest one then. Let's try hunting down some servants and see if we can cut that one off. So we've had our talk with Arpin. We have a vague idea of, like there's definitely servants from the Isles in town, and we can keep an ear out for hearing the gibberish as it is, and maybe even try to go places where we know they might be.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good start. So what will we need to do to find them?
I mean,
What kind of role are we looking at here for that kind of search?
I say we gossip because you're trying to find people that can up the top of their head remember that one of their servants or somebody is clearly a foreigner, right? I mean, he said that there's not enough of them to feel like it's an invasion or a wave of refugees, but
Yeah.
he has noticed in them. So clearly, at least middle class families or higher are hiring these foreigners to be their
Mhm.
servants. So, I mean, that's the social class he belongs to, by the way. He's sort of the middle class guild member.
Right.
So maybe investigating with other guild members, right? Asking around and seeing what it is, right?
Yeah. I think starting at the households probably works for the best. And if we just sort of hang around those areas, we might spot someone. We'll talk around and say, like, oh, has anyone been from here or here? Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you lead this again, I can assist you and I'll give you the D12.
All right.
Congratulations. 2 successes.
Yeah, you track down a maid, scullery maid. Basically, what she does, what they hire her for, is like doing the dishes and the laundry, stuff like that. She's not full time, right? She comes in during the day, a housekeeper, right? The day does the work and then leaves at night because they don't, the particular family that hires her doesn't have enough money to keep someone 24/7, and the house is not that
Right.
it's a well-to-do house, but not that not a mansion or something like that.
Mhm.
They have a permanent staff, and basically you find her sort of grabbing the clothing in the bag, and yeah. Let's see
Timing
what
it out.
yeah, She goes by Brody. The last name is Brody. And she's basically, it's the house. Doesn't have a gate, so you go in the back, and she's sort of like in a back alley. She's have the pail, and has a pick of clothes, a tax of clothes, and she's like, doing the laundry there. Not even allowed to do laundry inside the house. So then she just splash water, stuff like that. And you see the water sort of running down the gutter. And she's, she's just doing her work. So who approaches her?
I suppose I could, and I'll approach and I say, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you good, Brody?"
She's a dog. It's like common dog. It's like, well, right. If you want me to do your clothing, that'll be 3 bits, couple bits per load.
And I'll shift over to the language of the Isles, and I'll say, "No, ma'am, I'm not interested in services today. Just to talk."
Oh, you're from the Isles. Hi, welcome. I haven't talked to one of my kind, except for Jody over there, and she points.
Points. We all wave.
Like points, and there's somebody doing like dusting something, like something in the second window, and then. And moments later, she just tosses a chamber pot. Like, look out below. It's like, I hate doing that. So what can I do for you?
Oh, well, I just had a few questions. Nothing too personal, I would hope. But I was actually curious about how you came to be here from the Isles. As I understand it, there may be a fellow named Wilcox who may have.
When you say Wilcox, she sort of gets at full height, and she's still kind of short, right? Like a terrier, And she sort of, that Wilcox. My husband should have never taken that loan, but he did, and he couldn't pay it. And he ran off and left me with a debt. And so one day, one of Wilcox's men came in and says, "Well, my lady, you have to pay the bill." I said, "Well, I don't have the money." She said, "Well, there's no problem with that, because if you sign this here contract and work for, say, the next 5 years, you can pay it off." That was 6 years ago.
I
think it's
trickster all the way.
Indentured or something. That's what they said it was.
Yeah, indentured servitude.
Yeah, but the thing is, this Wilcox, he looks for idiots who will give him money. He's a money lender, he says. Actually, that's where he gets most of his funding.
Oh, I wouldn't want to speak so ill of your husband, but if you say so.
Well, he was an idiot. He didn't have the silver to pay, so he shouldn't have taken the gold. Think about it. I don't know if he took gold. I wish he had taken gold. At least he could have with him when he left. Bastard. Silver, that is. So I lost everything. My home, my furniture, my grandma's pearl necklace. That was a joke with my husband every time I mention it, by the way. Bastard. Dirty thinking bastard. But let me tell you something. I'm trying to get as much money as possible so I can go home again. I still have family over there. I heard about the war and everything, but I still have to get back there.
Indeed.
I don't belong in this putrid place with people who treat you like garbage. Like trash.
Well, given what she said already, I'm definitely seeing a very good piece of evidence right here. So, indentured servitude is definitely not good or right in any capacity, but as Spencer mentions, it is prescribed. It is not necessarily directly legal without some special permission.
It does show how he's getting his money. Like he got how he made his money, right? Basically taking advantage of people, lending money, and then when they couldn't pay, they just did two things.
Yeah.
Took all their stuff, right? The lands and whatever they had, and also had family members or themselves being indentured, for 5 years. That means everything that they earn goes into his pocket. So, and 5 years is quite a bit of time. So, and she rattles the numbers of people that all fall into this, like dozen or more that she knows about, right? We get here in 2 and 1s and 3s and 5s mostly. Doesn't not like he has everybody in a big ship and just 100 people or so. But
Yeah, of course.
yeah. And now with the war, I guess we'll have more people who are desperate, right? To find food and that sort of thing. It's all legal aboard board. I actually managed to get in touch with the what's the name? Paper people that did the thing with the
bureaucrats.
Yes, them. I talked to them and they said, well, this contract is legal and you better not tear it up because if you do, you'll be in big trouble. You better keep your copy.
But of course, it was only for 5 years, but now it's 6. That's not above board at all.
Well, I paid my contract. I'm a lucky one, but now I'm looking to have to keep working in order to get it back home. So I'm saving all my silver. But then the idea of the war is that I'm going to go back to a war-torn piece of trash. And then what they say, you lose some and then you lose some more. I just want to get back there and see if I find my husband and stab him in the back. Rip his spine off.
That's illegal.
Well, only if I
can
get
understand
caught.
the feelings.
Are you gonna tattle on me? My lord.
No. Well, what's between friends is between friends, of course. But
anyway.
Well, if you do wish to return to the Isles, I do have a ship, and if you do need a little bit of money as well, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fish out 4 denarii, and I'm just going to give it to her.
I was actually going to look up how much it costs for low berth in a ship to just take her there after we're done having her possibly testify for illegal practices. Because it's only 1 denarii a league, so depending on how many leagues it is from where we are to the Isles.
And it took us like 2 weeks to get here?
About, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very long journey. But I'm still gonna give her like 4 denarii, just like outright right now.
Like, thank you, sir. I mean, my lord. 3 pocketed, right? Right. It's certainly, yeah. I mean, also, what you said is going back home. It's not simply buying the trip. I mean, she has to remake her entire life. If she goes there and just as a driver, she'll be back in the same position she is before, right? So,
exactly.
It's a trap, right? Because once she's stuck here, she has to make enough money to survive, save enough money to be able to go back, and then start a new life there. So, yeah, or renew her whole life. So, it's not just a matter of crossing.
And I'm thinking of things I can like ask her for here, but I guess at least the impression I'm getting is this isn't exactly like the legal slam dunk we're looking for.
It is unseemly. At least in the Isles, it's seen as the money laundering aspect of it is very unseemly, right? And this church doesn't look down on usury, right?
Yeah,
Thalomere, but I mean, because it is a contract for work, right? She owes and she's paying back. Technically, it's not usury because usury is basically paying is asking for interest. Right? That's making profit on a loan. That's the thing about because the Church of Sumeria is based on the Catholic Church.
Yeah, they're not making profit off the loan; they're making profit off the contract, which isn't a loan.
Yeah, the idea is that you could loan money, but you couldn't charge interest. In other words, you get money back, right? A loan is something done as an act of charity, I suppose, as opposed to but he's not charging interest, and that could be presented to the ecumenical authorities here, but it's unseemly, right? It's unseemly, and also remember he is bringing these foreigners. Not everybody's going to be happy about it because they displace local workers, right? And there's conflicts. Again, he hasn't brought enough people to that to be seen as a way. But if it continues, especially now with the war, which probably a lot of dozens, hundreds of people are destitute or more, then Yeah, that could be a thing. And maybe he was charging interest, but that's happening. His agents are doing that back in the Isles.
Yeah.
As a way to entrap people as well as making a profit.
So then what I might go ahead and say then is this is still a highly unseemly practice. It doesn't leave a good feeling in my mouth to say it out loud. And of course, that such is happening to our people of the Isles, that they're displaced for the sake of money alone. It is simply not right.
And exploitation.
Exactly. So perhaps, if it would not be too much, you've lived here for at least 6 years now, and you know many of the others who have been given such offers. If you could, if they have the time, I believe maybe we could arrange a time or place, at least for them to get together. And if that is possible, I believe I can give you someone to talk to who here, I believe, will assist in advocating for all of you.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I guess I could pass the word along. But
My time here, of course, is limited, but those here do have interests that align with all of us.
Right. Sure.
So I'll give her like a sort of time, place kind of thing, and I'll make sure to send word to say like Karen, who would probably be most interested in this, and they can arrange to have that happen. I think.
Yeah.
That's how it'll probably end up like panning out over time here. But I'll say, but of course I'll take her hand and say it's like the safety of the people of the Isles is always at the center of my heart, and just win her over.
Yeah. Well, once you put money on her hands, she's very, very agreeable to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that so? Yeah, she basically numbers half a dozen or more people that she knows over the years, right? Because you meet people and recognize each other. It's like, oh, you're here for the same reason, stuff like that. Again, I mean, Wilcox seems to be somebody who's very careful, skirting the edges of the law, because this, there's a carryover to slavery, and that's clearly is illegal, right? On boats, but in Calabria and in particularly in the Isles, and so that's the thing. But again, it reveals more about the nature as an individual, someone who's willing to make money at all. Is prescribed. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's definitely a good point number one.
Oh, okay. So that's. Well, I thought it was legal.
Oh, well, prescribed doesn't mean like necessarily completely illegal. It's you have to have permission to do it.
Yeah. That's a good end. You check it whether he has permission or not, and who gave it to him and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. So I can definitely pass that around to Sharon, and in a few days he can have a meeting with all these people, get their story, information, such. He definitely seems like that sort of type to handle that part of the investigation, I think, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the right person.
Yeah.
And then that leaves us our next few leads, I think. One of them was the dead woman. What was the other one, Zark?
Well, the disappearance.
Yeah, the disappearance. Well, I just assumed dead.
Yeah.
Everyone's dead.
I was trying very hard to listen, but I was also having a hard time not saying anything wrong with your accents that you have their lessons, but it was making it a little bit difficult for me to place the information.
Sorry about that, yeah.
No, it's
Puerto
not your
Rican
fault,
Irish.
it's mine. So I don't remember what all little hooks we were offered with the little worms on them.
Just a moment.
Okay, yeah, so we'll take a moment. One of them was definitely the other people he made contracts with, how they acted with him, because of course if they were intimidated, then that's outright not good. Still not quite the slam dunk, but I mean it's still good. But if he's disappeared someone, that's something to immediately take note of.
Yeah, we could investigate that, certainly.
And I think he's been trading with the East, right? That's what we've gotten from this with all the silk, right?
And the porcelain.
And the jade?
Yes. Oh, did you
And
know
of
that
course-
the Chinese got so good at making porcelain because they didn't have the sand to make glass?
Oh, very interesting.
So sorry about that. I
all good.
I got a call that basically I was planning to leave early because we don't have the full staff as well. But yeah. So the next lead is the lady who disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know where it goes to. And
The
other
contractors.
business. Yeah, the other people that are members of the guilds that he might have cheated or intimidated into doing his business, right?
Right. So I think the disappearing family is good for our next point.
So we're gonna have to leave it there.
Good point. Yeah.
It's about 4:30. So yeah. Let's start with the. We haven't accomplished any goals today.
We made headway, but yeah, we haven't necessarily gotten to them yet.
No goals, but talk about the personal, proclivities. Let's start with the as we should always do, as I always like to do, with the man. I've been playing a couple of weeks and I'm
Mottos.
Yeah, mottos of everybody's mottos.
Okay. I'm fit to be the king.
Mm-hmm.
The best secrets are those you not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Everybody can say their mottos, and we can just do them.
Okay, yeah, we'll go back. Go ahead.
Yeah, the best secrets are those you are not known to keep.
And
you need to know that you're in for the fight of your life.
I think everybody did it in their own way, right? Griffin was able to impress a lot of the nobility.
Yeah.
Spencer was able to unearth some secrets, move the ball along in his investigation. And Harmon, being Harmon, basically Harmon, even his own brother, into giving him a chance to open up and maybe reclaim his birthright if he so chooses. So which leads us to the debriefing here. Harmon, to the audience, the little peek behind the curtain. Theta approached me. Harmon's like, I have this noble background. Should I keep it, etc. So if you're surprised, like, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So this is important. Yeah, Harmon has a shot of reclaiming his noble status, or claiming it, because I guess he never had it to begin with. So there's that. The investigation goes on forward. The reason also we're cutting a little bit short is because there's aspects of the investigation that required at least one more character. Robert will not be with us for the foreseeable future. Although while he was here, he's still very much here in the world of living. Just so you know.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, but yeah, he was a great player. So that's the thing that I have to accommodate for, and I already have. But also Rafferty, when he's able to get back to his apartment and make sure that everything is okay, probably will join us next week. Then there's aspects of that investigation, which is the other side that we're doing. This is the part where we're dealing with the war, and the other part is dealing with, which you touch on, Spencer, is the whole mystical mumbo jumbo destruction of the Isles and maybe the world kind of situation.
Right.
With the Isles. So that's going to be something we're going to pick up next week. Anybody has anything to add or throw in?
I definitely had some fun. I'm definitely missing the presence of our others because they opened up like some great avenues for us to go with. I'm definitely going to miss having Robert here. We're not going to be able to sneak in and take everything now. But this was definitely like the investigation period where we're just sort of gathering information, talking with people, and seeing what's everyone's motive, and then trying to align that with ours. And I'm glad that I think Ark, Spencer's actually gotten better at gossiping lately, hasn't he? You actually increased that die up to the D8.
No, that my gossip is still a D6. What I increased was I added a marks die to negotiation, which usually you only have my career die.
Okay.
And I was I have 4 XP. I was either going to raise gossip to D8 or negotiation to a D6. I don't know which one I'm doing yet.
Okay, well, I'm sure you'll find out. I got like negotiator now, so gossiping probably will be good. I need someone to get the information, for sure. And of course we have Harmon, who's just on standby until we decide to destroy somebody. let's just raid the guild. Let's just murder everybody. No one will say no to that. You can fight off how many mercenaries, Armin?
All of them.
All of them. See, we can do it. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing like the other
situation with Harmon is like there's Harmon and there's an army, and the GM has to turn to the army and go, "Do you really guys want to do this? Is that a thing you want to do? Because it's Harmon over there, so
embrace your fate."
Yeah. So yeah, that's it for us. Shout outs, of course. I'll start to get it on. I'm going back to streaming finally. We're going back. We're gonna do a little bit more of SWTOR this week, testing the rig, see how it goes, and perhaps also playing Halo. And on Tuesdays, I have the Lessons Learned podcast where we talk about video game news and commentary. And of course, Sundays now I am playing here Hackmaster in the mornings and GMing Ironclaw in the afternoons. So next, Griffin.
Hey, I'm Griffin, and this is Theta. We're on this channel. Yay! Know your role. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Of course, on Sundays we have Hackmaster, as we'll have lessons here. We have Ironclaw run by the wonderful Lessons again. And later tonight, we don't have anything for tonight, but we'll be doing board games next week. Also, on Wednesdays, we have new entries. We have Masks in the morning. We'll have Myriad Song in the afternoon. And in the evening, we will have Star Wars Fantasy Flight version, Edge of the Empire even. And that's going to be a ton of fun. I haven't seen the system yet. I've only seen it in passing. It's going to be great to see in action. Everyone should come join. I'll do my best Wiki Roar. Arcloid.
Hello, I'm Arcloid. I used to run a play-by-post running through the Book of Adventures. Had a little bit of burnout. Somebody else has taken over for the time being, but I may be running it again in the future, so there will probably be no future shout-outs from me.
I think that's about it. Unless Theta wants to cover anything else that Griffin didn't. So
yeah, what you want to cover?
Thank you for coming, and we'll see you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you for running.